guys. Wasn't a bad day. It was beautiful weather. Got to take the car for a spin. I won't say that it worked perfectly. I had a lot of trouble with it when I had the idle turned up to 1200 or so. It seemed to run okay, but when I'd lower it below that, I'd get the hunting idle. I'm probably going to get one of those plates that goes between the throttle air bypass solenoid and the throttle body, just to give it a bit more air volume. And I got to get a wheel alignment done because I dropped the whole K-member down when I took the motor out, so it'll need a wheel alignment. I'm trying to think. There's always going to be something to do. There's always going to be some little tidy up to do on the car. The valve train is kind of quieter, what I kind of expect it to be. It may quieten down over time a little bit, probably not, but it's acceptable. It's how roller rockers sound, especially not pedestal, but especially stud mount. So that's, but for the most part, and my temperature would either be at around 3/4 or it would dip up to the top end. I've got a new radiator in it, aluminum rad, last year. It's got a new water pump just because, you know, I'm going to try and do something to try and get the temperature down to where it should be. But another thing is, I think I should put a mechanical gauge on there, because how do I know, is my gauge really accurate? What if it is actually running, because it's never overheated, but the gauge reads high. So I want to see what I'm really at. I think I got about a 192 degree thermostat in it, which is supposed to have. I don't want to, you know, have a whole bunch of colder thermostats as a band-aid. The guy could probably go down to a 180 and be okay. But, you know, fuel injection likes to run at optimal operating temperatures for get the best fuel economy and everything else. I know my 86 has a 427 in it. It idles like a champion. It definitely stays nice and cool. The temperature sort of hovers around that 180 where it's perfect. So if I could refine a few things on this car, that's what we're going to do. And that's probably going to take us, you know, we're going to pick away at it, because I want to bring the 86 in, do a few things to that. But I got to drive it today. I got to drive the 86 today. It was a good day. Hope you guys are able to put a few miles on your cars. That's important, because unless you're into snowmobiling, the next few months isn't going to work out for us. You guys know that. So we're going to kill two birds with one stone today, so to speak, on the 95. So what's happening is, just at idle or just off idle, if I lightly accelerate, or even when it's just sitting there, I'm getting a whistling sound under the hood. And yesterday I was talking to my buddy J-Pop. I was telling him I was thinking I heard it could be like a plenum gasket on an intake manifold, and it is possible if you have a bad gasket. But this only changed after I switched throttle bodies. So I took off the original Ford Racing 65 mil throttle body. So you can see that one hole right there. They think that the air is whistling past there. It's the throttle body. It's configured in such a way that the air is making a whistling sound in that area. So that's one thing. Number two, I'm having a tough time getting the car to idle. If it sits at 1200 RPM, which is too high, obviously, it'll idle. It's a fast idle. But like my 86 will idle at 800 RPM all day long. And this one it won't idle. So when I lower the idle down, it's just not happy. I get the really bad hunting idle and the car gets messed up. So I thought I'm going to try something. I'm going to take the throttle body off. I'm going to look at ways to maybe radius some edges where I think the whistling might be coming from. It's not all the time, but it's there. You notice it. It makes you think there's something else wrong. But something else I'm going to do, I probably should just go buy one of those throttle plates that go between the air bypass solenoid and the throttle body. I'm going to make one. You know, I have a piece of aluminum. It doesn't look that hard. I think I'm going to make one. Regardless, the car will have to get a throttle bypass solenoid like that plate that gives more airflow when the throttle body is totally closed. So that way you can be idling, have your throttle position sensor at 0.98 volts or whatever the factory range is at, and have enough air bypassing through to maintain a nice idle. Now if I hold that down, go to the other side. Yeah, go up to a bigger bit. Everything looks pretty good so far. Hey guys, here I am back at work. My phone died, so that's why the video kind of got chopped short. Show you what I'm doing. I kind of brought my project to work this morning. So here's my little plate, and I had drilled a hole all the way through here, and one through here. I got a number 6 tap, and I got some, I went to Fastenal. These guys, I had to buy a whole box of them, but they weren't that expensive. Some Allen head screws, or bolts, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just finishing tapping this part, and then threading in the bolts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a taper on each bolt. One thing I'm going to do yet, just as a backup plan, they also show that they drill through this section right here, just to get more airflow, especially for a 351. So I'm going to drill right through the top, right through there. I'm going to drill all the way through here, and then I'm going to tap this section right here, and I'm going to put one of these Allen head bolts in there to plug that hole, because the whole name of the game is to get this is where the fresh air comes from on your throttle body, and this is the engine side of the throttle blade. So here you adjust this on each side to let air in here, extra air bleed off, and they have an extra hole that you could put in to have extra airflow go in there. So I saw a video where the guy said just there's actually the Ford ones come with a little plug, or one of them, maybe not the Ford ones, they come with a little, almost like a frost plug or some kind of a little cap in there. And for bigger displacement motors, if you have a 351 or a stroker, you can knock that out to get more airflow in there. So it took me about 45 minutes to, I drilled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes. And then I took my jigsaw, I cut out here and here, here and here, and then just across there. I threw it in my sandblasting cabinet just to clean it up a bit. But there's my throttle plate. Okay, back in the shop. Now that the throttle plate is built, I found a couple extra longer bolts. I got my screws in here. Everything is... This didn't quite turn out perfectly how I wanted, but it's going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire the car up, get it idling. It'll be at around 1200 RPM, 1200. I'll bring the idle down to about 900. I'm sure it'll start hunting quite easily. And then we'll throw the plate in. See if it works. Here we go. So it's bouncing around that 1000 to 1200 RPM. And you can just hear that whistle in there. That little whistle just kind of comes and goes. I don't know about you guys, but I think this is a good time to shut the car off, put that plate in, and see if it makes a difference. And that's what happens. It's kind of embarrassing. I kind of like the car. And let's face it, you want it to run nice, especially if you're in traffic or pulling into a parking lot. You don't want the idle going up and down and who knows where. So let's change that plate, fire it up, and see if it makes a difference. Once I get this the way I want it, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to put a bit of blue Loctite on for two reasons. I can still loosen it and tighten it, but it also helps seal the threads off. You know, if you're ever in the wrecking yard and any Ford that has a throttle bypass solenoid like this, just check, because that little throttle plate is actually a Ford service part. And if you ever had a car that had a sludged up throttle body, the thing that Ford would do was they'd put one of those plates on, and they recommend, even some videos they said as a service part, they say leave the throttle body the way it is and just add this part in to get the car to idle right. So I know once in my life I saw one of these plates on something that it could have been like a Crown Victoria, or a Grand Marquis or something. So they're not just for Mustangs. Well, let's start it up and see if something happens. 50 RPM. Well guys, it seems to be idling at about 1,000 RPM. So far, yeah, about 1,000. So far, mission accomplished. It's idling decent. I wish it could idle a little bit less, maybe 900 would be nice. But I think before we get a tune, it probably is not going to happen. Every time I lower the RPM, then I start getting the hunting idle, and then all hell breaks loose. So we're going to leave it in here for now. It's idling better. That throttle plate seemed to work for now. Fingers crossed. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.